Hollywood's golden age looked like pure glamour on the surface, flashing cameras, velvet curtains, and stars dripping in spotlight. But behind those polished studio gates, not every story sparkled. Some of the biggest names of the era carried secrets far darker than their on-screen roles. Courtrooms replaced premieres, headlines turned hostile, and for a shocking few, red carpets were traded for prison bars. Tonight, we're diving into the hidden side of classic Hollywood. The actors and actresses who faced criminal trials, explosive scandals, and reputations that nearly collapsed overnight. Before we get into it, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. And drop a comment. Which classic Hollywood scandal shocked you the most? Because the truth behind the golden glow is far more dramatic than you think. 1. Paul Kelly. In 1927, respected stage and screen actor Paul Kelly became the center of one of Hollywood's most jaw-dropping scandals. What started as a heated confrontation with fellow actor Ray Raymond spiraled into tragedy. After the altercation, Raymond later passed away, and Kelly was convicted of manslaughter. He was sentenced to up to 10 years in San Quentin. Kelly ultimately served just over 2 years before his release in 1929. But what truly stunned Hollywood wasn't just the conviction, it was what happened next. Kelly married Raymond's widow, actress Dorothy McKay, who had received probation for helping conceal details surrounding the incident. Public outrage was intense, yet unbelievably, Kelly's career survived. He returned to the screen throughout the 1930s and 1940s, proving that in classic Hollywood, talent could sometimes outweigh scandal. 2. Tom Neal. The hard-edged star of Detour seemed to live out a real-life film noir tragedy. In 1965, his wife, Gail Bennett, was found dead in their Palm Springs home. Neal claimed it was a tragic accident during an argument. Investigators disagreed. He was convicted of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to up to 15 years in prison. Neal served around 6 before being paroled in 1971. By then, Hollywood had moved on. Once a rising star, he faded into ordinary life, working as a landscaper and builder, unable to shake the shadow of scandal. In 1972, he died of a heart attack at just 58. The man who embodied noir fatalism had become his own cautionary tale. 3. Robert Mitchum. By 1948, Mitchum was one of Hollywood's coolest leading men. Tall, confident, untouchable. Then came the raid in Laurel Canyon. Police arrested Mitchum and actress Lila Leeds for possession of a prohibited substance under California's strict narcotics laws. The headlines exploded. Mitchum pleaded guilty and received 60 days in jail along with probation. He served time partly in Los Angeles County Jail and partly at an honor farm, posing for what became one of Hollywood's most famous mugshots. But instead of destroying his career, the scandal added to his rebellious mystique. When Rachel and the Stranger became a hit shortly after his release, Mitchum proved something shocking. Sometimes controversy made a star even bigger. 4. Mae West. In 1927, actress and playwright Mae West shook New York with her bold stage production, Sex, which she wrote, produced, and starred in herself. Its daring themes of romance and independence outraged authorities. The theater was raided. The cast was arrested. At trial, West refused to apologize. She stood firm, defending her work and her message. Convicted on charges related to obscenity, she was sentenced to 10 days in jail. Instead of damaging her, the scandal made her a sensation. Her confidence and defiance only fueled public fascination, launching her into even greater fame. And these are just the beginning. Classic Hollywood's golden glow often masked darker, complicated realities, where fame collided with law, scandal, and consequences. 5. Mae West continued. The judge sentenced her to 10 days at the Women's Workhouse on Welfare Island and a $500 fine. She served just 8 days for good behavior, and even behind bars, she was performing. giving interviews, charming reporters, and turning punishment into publicity. When she walked free, headlines across America made her a sensation. The arrest that was meant to destroy her career actually launched it into the stratosphere. West later laughed about the ordeal, saying, "I made a fortune out of it." In an era of tightening censorship, she proved that scandal, handled boldly, could become a brand. 6. Spade Cooley. In the 1940s, Spade Cooley was known as the king of Western swing, a chart-topping musician, actor, and television personality adored by millions. But behind the spotlight lived a volatile temper that would ultimately destroy everything. In 1961, after a tragic domestic incident involving his wife, Ella Mae Evans, Cooley was arrested and later convicted of first-degree murder. The verdict stunned the nation. He was sentenced to life in prison. While incarcerated at Vacaville Medical Facility, Cooley became what some described as a model inmate. He organized prison concerts and taught music to fellow prisoners. Then in 1969, he was granted a brief release to perform at a charity event. After finishing the show, he collapsed backstage and died of a heart attack. Once celebrated on radio waves across America, Spade Cooley's life ended as one of Hollywood's most chilling cautionary tales, the king who lost everything to his own fury. 7. Frances Farmer. Frances Farmer was brilliant, outspoken, and unwilling to bow to studio control. That independence made her both magnetic and dangerous in the eyes of Hollywood executives. In 1942, she was arrested in Santa Monica after a traffic violation. When she failed to appear in court, police tracked her down at the Knickerbocker Hotel. She resisted arrest, and the dramatic confrontation exploded into national headlines. Convicted of disorderly conduct, she served 180 days in jail. But the legal troubles were only the beginning. In 1944, Farmer was declared mentally unfit and committed to Western State Hospital, where she underwent aggressive medical treatments common for that era. Released in 1950, she attempted to rebuild her career through stage and television appearances. But the spotlight never fully returned. Today, Frances Farmer stands as a haunting reminder of how Hollywood treated those who refused to conform, especially women who challenged authority. 8. Jay Robinson. Jay Robinson shot to fame with his unforgettable portrayal of Emperor Caligula in The Robe. His intense performance made him one of Hollywood's rising stars. But success soon collided with personal struggles. By 1958, Robinson was arrested for possession of controlled substances and forging a prescription. Initially granted probation, he later missed a court appearance and was taken into custody, serving about a year in Los Angeles County Jail. When he was released, Hollywood had labeled him unreliable. Work vanished. For nearly a decade, Robinson rebuilt his life far from the cameras. But in the 1970s, he staged a remarkable comeback, appearing in shows like Star Trek and Bewitched, and later in Planet of the Apes. In time, he spoke openly about his past, a rare act of honesty in an industry built on illusion. 9. Lawrence Tierney. Lawrence Tierney didn't just play gangsters, he seemed to live like one. After his breakout role in Dillinger, his off-screen life grew nearly as turbulent as his on-screen characters. Throughout the late 1940s and 1950s, Tierney was arrested multiple times for bar fights and public disturbances. In 1951, one altercation led to a short jail sentence. Studios soon deemed him uninsurable, a devastating label that effectively stalled his promising career. For decades, Tierney drifted in and out of minor roles. Then in 1992, director Quentin Tarantino cast him in Reservoir Dogs, calling him the real deal. Even in his later years, Tierney carried the same raw intensity. He remained Hollywood's ultimate outlaw, a man who blurred the line between fiction and reality until the very end. 10. Bobby Driscoll. Bobby Driscoll was Disney's first true child superstar, the bright-eyed face from Song of the South and the unforgettable voice of Peter Pan. Charming, Talented and full of promise, he seemed destined for lifelong fame. But Hollywood can be unforgiving, especially to children who grow up. By age 16, Disney ended his contract, quietly declaring he was no longer marketable. Roles became scarce, the spotlight dimmed, and the young star who once lived in Neverland began struggling in the real world. In 1961, Driscoll was arrested in Los Angeles for possession of controlled substances. He later entered a state rehabilitation facility and was released the following year. But when he tried to return to acting, he discovered something heartbreaking. Hollywood had already moved on. He relocated to New York City, immersing himself in the underground art scene, painting under an alias in hopes of reinventing himself. But the fairy tale never returned. In 1968, Driscoll passed away under tragic circumstances. His body went unidentified for nearly a year. From Neverland to obscurity, Bobby Driscoll's story remains one of Hollywood's most devastating cautionary tales. The child star who grew up too fast and was forgotten too soon. 11. John Drew Barrymore. The Barrymore name was Hollywood royalty. Son of the legendary John Barrymore and father to Drew Barrymore, John Drew Barrymore inherited enormous talent and overwhelming turmoil. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, he developed a reputation as unpredictable and self-destructive. Despite promising roles in films like While the City Sleeps, his erratic behavior soon overshadowed his talent. He faced multiple arrests for reckless behavior and minor legal troubles, serving several short stints in Los Angeles County Jail. Studios labeled him unreliable. Insurance companies refused to back him. And in Hollywood, that was often a career death sentence. As the work disappeared, so did many personal relationships. His daughter, Drew Barrymore, later admitted she barely knew him growing up. His life became a painful reminder that a famous name may open doors, but it cannot keep them from closing. We've explored stars who served time behind bars. But not every fall from grace in old Hollywood required a prison sentence. For some, the punishment came through public trials, relentless headlines, and reputations shattered beyond repair. Sometimes shame was the harshest prison of all. 12. Roscoe Arbuckle. At the height of the silent film era, Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle was one of America's most beloved comedians. Then, in 1921, a party in San Francisco ended in tragedy. After the sudden death of actress Virginia Rappi, Arbuckle found himself accused of serious misconduct. The scandal exploded across newspapers nationwide, becoming one of Hollywood's earliest and most sensational trials. There were 3 trials. The first 2 ended in hung juries. The third concluded with a full acquittal, and even a written apology from the jurors, declaring him innocent. But the damage was done. Hollywood distanced itself. His films were banned. His career collapsed. Forced to work under the alias William Goodrich, Arbuckle lived in exile within the very industry he helped build, proven innocent in court, yet never truly forgiven. 13. Errol Flynn. In 1942, Errol Flynn, Hollywood's swashbuckling Robin Hood, faced serious allegations involving 2 underage girls. The trial in Los Angeles became a national spectacle, fueled by sensational headlines and non-stop gossip. Flynn denied the accusations, insisting they were false and driven by publicity. After weeks of testimony, the jury acquitted him on all counts. Legally, he walked free. But reputations don't always escape unscathed. The scandal deepened Flynn's image as charming, reckless, and dangerously magnetic. In fact, his notoriety seemed only to amplify his mystique. In classic Hollywood, innocence in the courtroom didn't always mean redemption in the public eye. And as we move forward, the pattern becomes clear. In Hollywood's golden age, fame could elevate you to the heavens. But scandal could cast a shadow that never truly faded. And from that scandal came a phrase that still lingers in American slang: in like Flynn. a reminder of how quickly fame and controversy could become inseparable in Hollywood's golden age. 13. Charlie Chaplin. Even Charlie Chaplin, the man who made the entire world laugh, couldn't escape scandal. In 1944, Chaplin was charged under the Mann Act in connection with actress Joan Barry. The accusations were explosive, and the trial quickly turned into a media circus fueled by gossip, moral outrage, and political hostility. Although the court cleared Chaplin of all charges, the damage to his public image was significant. His outspoken political views only intensified scrutiny, and in 1952, while traveling abroad, the United States revoked his re-entry permit. Rather than return to fight the tide, Chaplin settled in Switzerland, where he lived for the rest of his life. The ordeal proved something sobering. Even Hollywood's most beloved icon could be pushed into exile by rumor, fear, and shifting political winds. 14. Hedy Lamarr. By 1966, Hedy Lamarr, once hailed as the most beautiful woman in the world, had faded from major stardom. That year, she made headlines for all the wrong reasons when she was briefly taken into custody in Los Angeles over a shoplifting accusation. Lamarr insisted it was a misunderstanding, and the charges were quickly dropped. But the press coverage was relentless. The irony? Her true legacy had little to do with beauty at all. During World War II, Lamarr co-invented a frequency-hopping communication system, technology that would later inspire Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Yet instead of celebrating her brilliance, much of the public discourse focused on gossip. Her brief legal trouble became symbolic of how Hollywood often treated its aging stars, a genius reduced to tabloid fodder by the very industry that once adored her. 15. Lionel Atwill. In 1942, Lionel Atwill, best known for roles in Son of Frankenstein and Mystery of the Wax Museum, faced legal trouble after giving misleading testimony about a private gathering at his home. When he later clarified his statements, the court sentenced him to 5 years of probation. He avoided prison, but public embarrassment proved unavoidable. Hollywood reacted swiftly. Universal Pictures canceled his contracts, and other studios quietly distanced themselves. Once a respected leading man, Atwill found himself relegated to smaller, low-budget productions. Yet he refused to disappear. Despite the setback, Lionel Atwill continued acting until his death in 1946, a once great star who kept working, even as the spotlight dimmed. 16. Mabel Normand. Mabel Normand was one of silent Hollywood's brightest comedic talents and an early collaborator of Charlie Chaplin. She was America's sweetheart, until 1922 changed everything. That year, director William Desmond Taylor was found dead under mysterious circumstances. Normand was the last known person to see him alive. Though she was never charged, the speculation was relentless. Newspapers fueled endless rumors, turning her private grief into public spectacle. 2 years later, another scandal erupted when her chauffeur accidentally injured a man using a gun registered to her. Once again, her name dominated headlines. Even without a conviction, her reputation never fully recovered. She spent her final years battling illness and the weight of public scrutiny, a tragic reminder of how swiftly Hollywood can turn on its own. 17. Mary Miles Minter. Mary Miles Minter was groomed to be the next Mary Pickford, wholesome, radiant, and adored by silent film audiences. But in 1922, her name became forever linked to tragedy. When William Desmond Taylor was found dead, police uncovered personal letters from Minter to the director. The discovery shocked the nation. Though she was never implicated in the crime, the association alone was enough to derail her career. Public perception shifted overnight. Studios grew wary. The carefully crafted image of innocence was replaced by whispers and suspicion. In Hollywood's golden age, sometimes being near scandal was enough to destroy everything. Behind the glamour and glitter of classic cinema were lives shaped by accusation, rumor, courtroom drama, and public judgment. Some served time behind bars, others served sentences in headlines. And in Hollywood, sometimes that second punishment lasted far longer. Her image as an innocent girl collapsed almost overnight. Within a year, studios quietly cut ties, and her once brilliant career ended at just 21 years old. She chose to live quietly in the decades that followed, a young star undone not by a conviction, but by Hollywood's relentless appetite for scandal. 18. Joan Bennett. Joan Bennett was one of Hollywood's most glamorous leading ladies, celebrated for her performances in the noir classics of director Fritz Lang. But in 1951, her elegant world shattered in a moment of jealousy and gunfire. Her husband, film producer Walter Wanger, discovered she had been meeting with talent agent Jennings Lang in a parking lot. Overcome with suspicion, Wanger confronted Lang, and the situation spiraled violently out of control when he shot him. Bennett herself was never charged with any crime, but the investigation, the headlines, and the public humiliation were devastating. Wanger served several months in jail. Joan, meanwhile, saw her career collapse almost overnight. Once a respected and bankable star, she spent years in obscurity trying to rebuild her name. Her story proves a painful truth about old Hollywood. Sometimes one scandal, even one not of your own making, was enough to end everything. 19. Ingrid Bergman. In 1950, Ingrid Bergman, beloved star of Casablanca, shocked America when news broke of her romance with Italian director Roberto Rossellini. She was married at the time. She was expecting his child, and though she had broken no law, the backlash was fierce. The condemnation reached astonishing heights. Even the United States Senate publicly denounced her, calling her a negative influence on society. Overnight, Bergman transformed from America's sweetheart into a symbol of moral controversy. Effectively exiled from Hollywood, she moved to Italy and built a new life there for several years. But time has a way of reshaping public opinion. In 1956, Bergman returned to American cinema in Anastasia and won the Academy Award for Best Actress. It was a stunning redemption after years of public outrage. Her trial had never taken place in a courtroom. It was waged in headlines and public opinion, proof that in Hollywood, moral judgment could be as career-ending as any legal verdict. 20. Clara Bow. In 1931, Clara Bow, Hollywood's original it girl, found herself at the center of a scandal that nearly destroyed her career. Her former secretary, Daisy DeVoe, accused her of reckless living, gambling, and inappropriate behavior. Ironically, DeVoe herself was on trial for theft. But that didn't stop the press from sensationalizing every rumor and accusation. The newspapers turned Clara Bow into a national spectacle. Though she was ultimately cleared of wrongdoing, the constant scrutiny left her emotionally drained. Struggling with anxiety and exhaustion, she chose to step away from Hollywood before the age of 30. Her real crime wasn't breaking the law. It was living boldly and independently in an era that punished women for doing exactly that. Behind Hollywood's golden glow were stories not just of glamour, but of mistakes, judgment, exile, and redemption. Some stars rebuilt their lives, some faded quietly into legend, and others carried the weight of scandal long after the cameras stopped rolling. In the end, success in old Hollywood never guaranteed safety from the fall. Fame could lift you to extraordinary heights, but one headline could bring everything crashing down.